everybody. Today, I am excited. I do look like I don't have any clothes on, but I do have clothes on, so there. All right, so today, that's the letter O. And you know what? I actually put these in the bowl yesterday, so I don't even remember what's in here, and there's quite a few, so it should be interesting. I'm going to wing it as usual. So the way we do this is there's the letter O is in the bowl. All topics suggested by you guys, and I will spend less than 2 minutes on any one of them. And this is time for relationships and dating from A to Z, the letter O. O. All right, let's see what we've got. Online dating. All right, well, yes, you know that I approve, and I think it should be thought of as online meeting. Okay, because if you date online and you sort of create these digital relationships, basically, you're really setting yourself up for a lot of disappointment and heartbreak, because you're filling in a lot of blanks that may or may not be true, because you can really intensely connect with somebody via text or chat and sort of have this through line and this continuum with them that seems really real, and then you meet and your energies in person are like, oh, not so much. So online dating, think of it as online meeting, okay? So that's my orientation. I'm guessing you don't mean orientation at school. You mean like sexual orientation. Well, you know, more and more, particularly as the paradigm shift and there's not as much of a stigma around what your sexual orientation might be. I mean, I think unfortunately there still is some, but as we see in younger people, orientation might be a little more fluid. I think what's really interesting for couples is when someone's orientation maybe starts to change or expand, and maybe one of the partner in the couple is a little bi-curious, and that can seem very threatening. Yes, even to men can get threatened by, you know, everybody thinks, oh, men just always want women to want to be with women. That's not true. So I think the most important thing to remember is that orientation, I'm not saying it's a choice. I'm saying that it is like everything about our sexuality, it is kind of a living, breathing thing. It changes over time. It's fluid. That's what I'm trying to say. It's fluid. So again, you know, if that's the conversation that you want to have in your relationship and you're really afraid to have it, that's not a bad thing to get a third party person involved in. If you want to really state like, this is what I'm curious about, this is what I'm thinking, this is what I'm concerned about, I think I might be gay, or then that's a big conversation, and that is something that I think you would benefit from having third parties, so that somebody can help contain all of the potential fallout and emotions that might come from, what does this even mean? What does this mean for us? What does this mean for our family? All those things. So, oversharing on a date. Sometimes we get nervous and we start to overshare and overtalk. I think the thing you want to be careful about is sort of laying out all of your issues on the date, on the first date or the second date, you know, I mean, really just, because you don't want to use your dates to process your shit. Okay. I mean, sometimes, you know, people can connect over, talking about their exes and, oh, well, my marriage was this, my marriage was that. But sometimes what you don't really realize is that when you do that, this person is also thinking in the back of their mind, you're not over this, are you? So I think that there's a certain amount of selective sharing that you can do on, you know, in the beginning stages of dating. Yeah, because also it tends to make you feel very vulnerable, you know, and so wait a little bit as you're getting to know somebody before you start sharing some of the deeper stuff, in the sense that if you share something that makes you feel really vulnerable and then they somehow ghost, oh, that just adds the salt into your own wound. Not that it has to, but that's how it feels. So Oreos, yes, definitely enjoy them, but I don't recommend them in bed. Kind of messy. Openness. Same with the same with the oversharing. Well, let me see. Openness. God, that's general. Let me see if I can do something else. Open marriage. Okay, that's interesting. Open marriage is a term coined in the 70s, I believe. And there was a book written about it. Kind of like all those marriages, it didn't really work out. Those people were all sort of just doing whatever they wanted. There was a really good HuffPost article a couple of years ago that gave like 7 different definitions of open marriage, and it ranged from planned non-monogamy. It ranged from to polyamory, to polyamorous couples where still only 2 of them were having sex, but the other person is still part of the relationship. I mean, there's like I mentioned the other day, some couples have arrangements where it's like, yes, you can have sex with other people, but only if they're the same gender. It's very interesting. There's all kinds of arrangements. And so I think and there are more therapists out there willing to work with couples in these arrangements as well, because monogamy and how that works for people, and for some people that can work to have an open communication about their non-monogamy, that it can actually work for people. It's very discreet, and so generally you'll only hear about the times that it blows up and it's really bad. But this is sort of it's sort of reaching critical mass. Like you'll see articles about it in almost every magazine now. So I remember a couple of years ago, I opened up a Cosmo, and there was nothing about it on the cover, but in the very center of Cosmo, there was like a 6-page article on polyamory and what that means. So back to that one. That one's confusing me. I don't know. Ongoing affair versus a one-night stand. It is different. It is different. If there's an ongoing affair, one, you're talking about secrecy. You're talking about all kinds of a betrayal on many levels, and there's clearly some kind of emotional connection or some other thing being met. It's often important to say, how is this person seeing you? How is it that you feel more seen or more alive, or more like, what's going on here where this person can see you that way, but you're not getting that met in our relationship? Because the ongoing affair is clearly and there's an emotional connection and there's another piece being served. Whereas, the one night stand, I think for many couples is a little easier to work through and potentially repair from, because there's not the emotional connection. You're not in love with that person. It's like, oh, I was in Vegas, I was drunk. I'm not saying any of that's okay. I'm saying that that an ongoing affair is really requires, generally kind of like, well, really any affair really requires if you're going to work on your relationship, the acknowledgement that your marriage is sort of starting over. You're going to start fresh. We're going to redefine this. We're going to see this. We're going to see this through and see if that we can rebuild from a new place. So yeah, I hope that answers what you were asking. Ongoing affair versus one night stand. Okay. Orgasms, inability to reach. Sometimes antidepressants can cause this. SSRIs, which are selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, those can make reaching orgasm nearly impossible for some people. That can be an effect of your antidepressants, which is kind of a bummer. So, but also if it's sort of over a lifetime, there's a lot of really beautiful writing. Actually, Nancy Friday, like years ago, was sort of groundbreaking in her writing, and really helped a lot of women discover their own ability to have orgasm. So it really requires trust and feeling safe with your partner. So, but if you are having trouble with that, then definitely take note. Oh, am I taking some kind of medication that can interfere with that? And actually alcohol can too, because it does actually kind of numb you out a little bit. So I hope that helps. Okay. I just get these topics. Sometimes I don't get actual questions. Outgoing. Like outgoing. I'm guessing like maybe the person is outgoing and you're not. I think this is a really common thing with couples where one person might be more outgoing than the other. And I think that if you can If you can celebrate that in your partner as opposed to being threatened by it, I think that's the most important piece. Because if someone is outgoing, that can be a great benefit, right? You can like really create a larger friend group, and you can really enjoy people. And if you're a little bit more of an introvert, you can take time getting to know them, but your partner sort of helps reach people. For some people, that can trigger insecurity. But if you can somehow know that that's probably one of the qualities that you actually really love about your partner, and you can take your fear out of it and you can just admire it for what it is and celebrate that, then you can actually benefit from one person being a little bit more outgoing. Now, you can always ask for, concrete things like, I know you're outgoing and you want to talk to everybody at the party. I need to feel that you're also present with me. And so, that's not to say I want to squash who you are and squash your being outgoing, but you might need to state your needs as far as what does that mean for us, like when we're out in public, and I just want to make sure that I don't feel invisible because you're so outgoing and having fun. So that's what I have to say about outgoing. Okay. Openness. Let's say that this is about getting to know each other. I think obviously openness, willingness to share, willingness to be transparent with each other, that does create trust and bonding and a feeling of being known, right? And one of the things that feels so beautiful about being partnered is especially when you feel known. And however, I don't know that 110% openness is required for like a valid connection. I think that people, like, if I often talk about, like, if somebody wants to know your whole sexual history or everything that ever happened to you as a child, or, I think that everybody is entitled to some privacy. And I think that when we push people too hard to be open, then because everybody has their own pace, right? Some people are just open book, and some people, it really takes them time and trust and experience of you to open up about certain things. And so if somebody doesn't tell you something right away, it doesn't mean that they were lying to you. It means that they were remaining, holding on to their privacy. And if you push somebody, then privacy starts to turn into secrecy. And secrecy is when people start to hide parts of themselves. And when the relationship starts to feel more like a box rather than a flowing, expansive place where you can both grow together. When you have to start moving into secrecy, then that means that somebody doesn't really respect your privacy. Now, again, that's not to say like, hey, I can text anybody I want. I've got my privacy. You have rules in your relationship. That's like, don't take this and expand it out to that. This is within the boundaries of your relationship that you've agreed upon. I think that openness happens at a different pace for not just for men and women, but just for individuals overall. So that's what I would say about openness. I hope that was helpful. We have gone through the bowl. Oh my God. And I will see you tomorrow for the letter P. So if you have any suggestions for the letter P, go ahead and leave under this video right now, and I will see you tomorrow. Mwah. Bye.